Into the pomposity of Sir John Kerr's Government House,
The Order of Australia.
enters a real trailblazer, Lowitja O'Donoghue.
I feel proud, not on my own behalf, but I think for the sake of Aboriginal people.
Before Mabo, before ATSIC, before the Redfern Address and the National Apology, Lowitja O'Donoghue was an inspiration.
Other than my parents, it probably influenced me more than anybody else. She was just an outstanding individual.
She was actually a small woman in stature, and I guess she just had that ability to take command of a room with her presence.
She was taken from her mother as a toddler to a mission in South Australia's Flinders Ranges, where the missionaries named her Lois.
I don't remember, of course, very much of the actual removal from my mother, and I didn't remember my mother at all.
She was not able to speak her language there. She was not allowed to practice her culture.
I didn't know her, of course, for 30 years. And she told me at that time, your name, Lowitja.
In 1954, she was the first Indigenous nurse at the Royal Adelaide Hospital.
She was knocking on the doors of Parliament House, going to speak to the then Premier of the day, you know, saying, help me, I want a nurse, there's no reason why I shouldn't because of the colour of my skin.
After battering her way through that ceiling, she rose through the public service all the way to Australian of the Year.
Her belief in changing the way Australia thought about and included Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people into every facet of the fabric of our society.
One of her many strengths, stoicism in the face of provocation.
A relative of the Mabo family discovered the senseless act of vandalism this morning.
There is still a great deal of racism in this country that we all need to deal with.
She was the first head of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Commission.
I think we might be able to come to some agreement.
She had this superb demeanour of disarming aggression, but at the same time focusing people on what we should achieve and work towards.
She worked with the Keating government to develop native title legislation.
It has stamped a new dimension in the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, and it has meant an enormous boost to the confidence of Indigenous Australians.
She retained her connection to community at the ground level, so grassroots, but she was able to talk to Prime Minister Keating during the Mabo decision, the native title work that was needed to be done, the apology with Kevin Rudd.
We apologise, especially for the removal of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from their families.
We, at last, had a Prime Minister who had the courage to actually say sorry. And it wasn't real hard.
Lowitja's own mother, Lily, had died decades before the apology.
She would have thought of how no one ever apologised to Lily and to the other mothers who were without their children, some for the rest of their lives, never saw them again.
30 years before The Voice, Lowitja O'Donoghue addressed the United Nations.
The Australian Constitution be changed to recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the continent's original inhabitants.
She was in a nursing home last year when that constitutional change was rejected.
Knowing Lowitja as well, she would have said, well, the work needs to go on. And she would have looked at the outcome and would have seen that 40% of Australians voted for us, and that's an opportunity.
She would not have given up hope of Australia still wanting to see Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people succeed in whatever we undertake and whatever we do, and that the future will be better.
Her own success in life defied her traumatic upbringing, taken from her mother, raised on a mission.
When she eventually left the home, The matron said to her that she wouldn't amount to anything, which was a very hurtful thing, and she never ever forgot those words, and she lived by that, and she literally was like, well, I'm going to show you, and she most certainly did.